And now let's go with the Mazda 6 in a detail on the exterior. I think, again, a very stunning car. And I mean, all three cars are definitely beautiful, and but this one definitely too. See, the front hood is separated again to save some insurance costs, that not the whole hood is in one piece in case of a crash. And recently it has received a facelift, and there the front was slightly altered. You see the big Mazda logo is not three-dimensional anymore. The sensor here for all the assistance systems is put behind that one. And the grille was changed a little bit. Mazda goes for this thin grille now and not the comp structure. Then if we go around here, you see those twinkling headlights, quite of dynamic and far stretched out definitely. And what is remarkable in the side profile, got the sports line top trim over here with stronger bumpers. Bigger alloys, 19-inch we have here, and I'm usually more a fan of chrome-alike alloys, not black ones. But you see, those ones are not really black, they're rather dark gray, and so are really pleasing to me. 19-inch, as I said. And then here in this very side profile, what I really like is, from all the three cars we have here, this is the one that is most accentuated toward the coupe style, and I really like that. So nice design line definitely here, and also the shoulders are quite strong. We'll see it later in the interior. This car is the one that is least using the space it has on the interior, but then it's a design object, and therefore we can see it right here that a lot of the space is used on design. So if you don't need the space, you can afford this design. If you need the space, you have to think about it. And finally, the rear, as connected as I am with the front and the side profile, I'm not that very much liking the rear, because this chrome span here, well, it's there to accentuate the broadness of the car. We've seen it a little bit alike also at the others, but here it looks a little bit deep placed in comparison to what is below that. So imagine this car without this chrome span, then I think those rather beautiful and simply designed headlights that are drawn away all around the back, they would actually, account a little bit more. And what is quite interesting, and it might have something to do with this big overhang we have here in the rear, that this car is really the longest in the comparison, or well, 1 centimeter longer as the Skoda Superb, so it's basically the same. And here also the sedan version of the Mazda 6 is longer, 7 centimeters, than the estate version. That is very remarkable. Usually, for example, estate versions are longer. In this case, it's the sedan, but it's more, again, as I said, with those overhangs in the front, especially in the rear, that usually make the difference. Let's get inside. The doors here, the handles also here, that one. It's kind of like not that well isolated from the inside. That is definitely a huge difference to the Passat and the Superb. Then we had the sports line in here, the top trim level, as I told you earlier, and that one here does not automatically come with the leather seats. These ones you have to pick optionally, about 2,000 euros, but I would not go for them because it harms animals, and just stay with the normal cloth seats then, and they have the standard equipment here. Black cloth is available then just with every car, and that will be perfectly fine. When I take a seat here, about the general seat form, it is generally comfortable, definitely, but you do realize that this car is not as well suitable for very tall people as the Volkswagen or the Skoda. There in the seat, you have more space in the height and also in the length, and you feel like you really can fall into the seat and have a lot of space here on the surrounding here. It's more like you sit really on the seat and a little bit, just on top of that one. Really a little bit hard to explain, I hope you get what I actually mean. And well, what most important thing is for you, if you're not that tall, it won't matter that much. If you are, let's say, above 180 in meters, then definitely other ones are a better pick from the seating position. Mazda has really worked on the build quality, and we can see that everywhere, so especially in the past years. And you know, all of the gaps, they actually fit very well to each other. We also got some faux leather as a styling element here. That one I really like. Same we see at the inside of the doors, especially when it's here in the bright part. So, I mean, why not offer some faux leather on the outside for the seats and then Alcantara on the inside? Then would be a perfect setup we would have here. But also the other artificial leather is used here, and also in combination with the plain plastic. That one is, everything is very well executed and a huge step forward in comparison to all the other Mazda models we have seen like about 5 years ago. But you know, newer models, they all follow this kind of a scheme. And just the steering wheel, I think it looks more high class in the Superb, and in the Passat this one looks a little bit plainer. Also the buttons here. And then if we find some very little details, we still see a lot of differences then to the Volkswagen Corporation models and the Mazda build quality. For example, take the electric adjustment of the seats here. This is lumbar support. And then listen to the sound of the electric motors, the small ones. So loud. It is way more silent in the other ones, for example. But generally works quite well. And by the way, it's not really working to put it all the way forward, but you can really put those seats all the way backward. That might also be an interesting information when you want to load something that is very long. You can do that with the co-driver seat then. Or take this here in the middle console. You see this very small, I'm not sure, it's some foil or something like that. Some wrap that was left over that hasn't been cut out very properly. That wouldn't happen in the other ones. However, it's really just a question if you look in very detail. Because if you look at the basic build quality here, for example, also the middle console, that really looks very good, very fancy. And another interesting thing to rate the detail build quality, if you put up the cover here from the armrest, then you see that like that, you can shake it to the right and left. At the Skoda and the Passat, it's really, everything is fixed. And also the whole middle console can be shaken a little bit here. So yes, there's still room left for improvements, but in general I'm really satisfied with the interior here, and I think all Mazda customers can already enjoy sitting in a quite high build vehicle. And as I've stated several reviews already, they have good durability as for, you know, the basic technological stuff. Let's turn on the ignition now. You see the whole cockpit overview is defined again. You know, we've got a lot of this faux leather here, and I really like this styling element, and looks very good. And it will also be more durable than the real leather because it stays cleaner, even better, and you can clean it better than again. The GPS is, you see, kind of well integrated here for me. I think, well, it looks like it could be slidden down, but it's not actually possible. The screens are in the other ones a little bit larger, but I think this size is generally enough. Let's also turn on the instruments now to see how long the GPS took to load, and we can also check how long does it take if we pick a destination. For example, if I go for Cologne, you know, I can either do it here with the central knob I got below there, or what is also possible, I can also use the touchscreen when I'm standing still, or maybe when I'm the co-driver. So that is really a good thing, and that you have both possibilities. See here, you can also switch around. In the other ones, you just have the touchscreen. So that is definitely an advantage here in the Mazda. And let's say start, so we can see how long the loading process really takes. And that was actually quite fast. And see when I zoom in, yeah, it could be a little bit faster, but in general, it's quite good. And you see the basic visual display is also quite modern. Now in detail, by the way, it does not flicker in real life. That's because there's a difference in the rate of the camera and of the screen. This is the basic menu. Again, you can control it like that, or you can also use it with a touch. And then you can, for example, also connect the phone. That works quite flawlessly as well. searching for some phones. So, and then we also got the entertainment system. Right now I've turned everything off. But general quite basic overview applications is also possible. Fuel economy monitor. iStop is this start-stop function called, for example. Let's go back to the main menu. Then you can here go to the settings, and for example, also here you can adjust the height. No, that doesn't work with touch. I think I have to go like this then with the central knob. Maybe it's not. It's maybe not possible when the ignition is turned off, and I can show you that quite soon. But this is to control the height of the head-up display. I'll show you quite soon. And then you can also change the settings for the display here. For example, auto. This one is maybe good to see. Here, mode for the day and night. Like that. That would be night mode. Then you see, you can't hardly see it here, but usually even auto, then it's automatically switching. And rear view camera comparison, it's optional of course. And yeah, the display is not flickering, but the resolution is worse than with the other vehicles, that's for sure. It is a good option to pick, definitely. You can see those opticals that are behind you then, but definitely the resolutions of the other ones are better. Head-up display is going up when I start the engine. See it right here. And then you can also see the information down there. And let's see if we can get you a better shot of it. Yeah, there it is. And again, it's not flickering in the real side. And then I can go back to those options again, that I can show you how that one works. Because that's interesting. Because now I had a small freeze in the infotainment system. Now the freeze is gone, finally. So go to settings, and then you can adjust the height here. And you see, there you go, you can put it higher. Okay, it's gone. There it is, back again. And gone to the lower part. So to me, it's like best to have that in this side. You know, it's not a real head-up display that is projected into the screen, but it's this separate screen we have in the front here. Then about the instruments, very classical and almost all analog. You just have the screen on the right here where you can, for example, put the consumption information and so on. And digital is also the total kilometers, but rest is all analog, which is not bad. I mean, it's classic and let's get over here. Driver's point of view would be like this, with the steering wheel and looking over to those, well, with the Mazda6 Facelift, everything has been cleaned up, less buttons, most of the functions in the infotainment system. I think it looks already quite clean and very nice. Let's go in detail with the air conditioning part. Seat heating is right here, it's optional of course. Then the climate unit here. Interesting, do you hear that? Like an additional sound that is coming then. Interesting. The build quality here has also been improved. You see it's not loose or something like that. And they really paid attention to that one. Also how the buttons feel here. That already feels high class, very well done. And a good display on the climate unit. And I think it's good if you have this one still separated. Storage spaces at the inside of the doors. Then a classic glove box. It's sliding down quite smoothly. Then we got this middle console part where we have a 12-volt power supply hidden behind that one. Then in the very middle console you can slide down this. Also feels good. 2 beverage holders, they are adaptive. One for your glasses up there. And as shown earlier, below the armrest there's another spot here. And also with 2 USB slots and another 12-volt power supply. Rear compartment. What is interesting, you can see it right here. This is for the child safety. If you put that one down, you can still open the door from the outside, but it would not be possible. Where is it? There it is. Here, when I put the handle, not possible to open the door from the inside. Then you can easily remove that one again. Then let us take a seat. And First of all, about the headroom, no panoramic roof. I still got enough headroom when I'm sitting quite upright. It's kind of left above my head. If I lean back, however, a little bit, my hairs are starting to touch the ceiling. Again, for our non-subscribers, 1.86 m is my height. And that is a little bit limited here. We got more space, especially in the Superb, and also the seating position is more leaned towards the back. But in general, the seating position is still quite comfortable here. However, we have a huge difference in knee space. You see, generally it's quite good. Enough space for my knees, but we have way more space, especially in the Superb, although the length of the car is the same here. And the trunk now. Different concept than with the Superb. Same with Passat. Separate opening for the trunk, and that is not that practical. Of course, the Superb way leads the other two cars there. However, in length, you see got a lot of length here with the trunk, and so you do have a lot of space no matter what. Also some small spaces on the right and left part to store some stuff. Flipping your seats is a little bit complicated because you can just do it from here like this, then pull that one, then go around and flip the seats, and then you can have this maximum in length. There. And by the way, this again about the very detailed build quality. You see what comes up here when you flip the seats, for example. But however, and then you can also use this system I've shown you earlier that you can put the other seat maybe all the way flat. But well, of course, it's not that flat way possible because you then touch the back of the flipped bench here. Now let's go for a detailed round with the Mazda6. As I've told you earlier, this is a different kind of engine, naturally aspirated, not as the turbo engines we got in the Volkswagen and in the Skoda. We got more of displacement here, 2.5 liters instead of 1.8 and 2.0 we got in the turbo engines. And this is actually quite exciting. So if you look at the paper first, this one here, the 2.5 liter with 192 horsepower, equals the 0 to 100 kilometers an hour acceleration with the Passat engine we have here, 1.8 liter with 180 horsepower. And well, it feels slower because in the Passat, the turbo, as soon as the turbo sets in, you get the real boost out of it. But here, it's kind of like a little bit more harmonic, the acceleration. You don't have this setting in turbo. And so, well, but you have to wait for the turbo to set in a little bit. And but still, when you get the boost in, then the subjective feeling remains that the turbo engine would be faster. And comparing it to the one we have in the Skoda with more horsepower, 220 horsepower, that one is really also just objectively faster actually because about 1 second less from 0 to 100. This one here and also the one in the Passat is about 8 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers, and the one in the Skoda we have is 7 seconds. So basically they are all in the same region kind of, but again I can tell you just for the feeling, the turbo feels faster for you. However, in general, I'm usually also in favor of the naturally aspirated engines because, first of all, there's one main part less, and that's the turbo, and this one cannot be broken then, and I think that one is a good thing. However, with this naturally aspirated engine, they also put it a little bit on the higher pressure then you could argue, okay, maybe that's not lasting that long. But in general, Mazda is scoring quite good durability scores, and they actually showed in different surveys also that this really is working, the whole system they have. So as for durability, really good score, definitely. And what is good about this naturally aspirated engine, especially when you're running it on lower torques, it's really calm, and when you push it really, you really have to more go over the RPMs to get the same output than with the turbo. So that's how it basically works. And it can give you the impression that the engine has to work a little bit more. So the turbos, they feel a little bit more refined, let's take it that way. I can do some acceleration test here, and maybe it's slow speed, let's say 30 to 60. Let's go now. There it is. And you maybe heard it, really went up in the RPMs. You think, oh, the engine is really working, but it's also not so bad. So in general, a little bit more of displacement. That's more like the classic way of doing things. And the good thing there is as well that the consumption figure is really close to the one that is stated. I've been saying for years with the Volkswagen engines, for example, come on, they are very good, but they consume too much fuel, and often about 3-4 liters above the stated consumption. And recently they discovered there's really a huge gap between that. However, now with Mazda, you often hit exactly the figure that is actually stated. And whereas the 2-liter turbo engines here, they consume about 10, maybe above that, liters. And here at the moment we're at 8.8. So you can actually say that this engine here is 1 to 2.5 liters usually less consuming. And that's also a good advantage, definitely, for the Mazda. So yes, the turbo feels better, but on the long run, I think the naturally aspirated engine might be, in general, a better solution. So, and then what else about the Mazda? We also do have the start-stop system here when, for example, the air conditioning is turned off and so on, it also is turning off, theoretically. And I also had, to get a little bit more boost out of it in general, I can also go to the sport mode, and then the gears are turned up even higher, and I got a more direct throttle input. I had this 30 to 60 acceleration test before. When I do it now again and hammer the throttle, you will feel a difference. Yeah, that was a little bit faster now. So you get a better direct input, but the difference is not that huge, and also not more factors like the suspension or steering. They are not affected by this. So it's not this kind of an evolved driving mode system that we find with the Volkswagen Corporation models. So I go back to the normal mode again now. I do see a head-up display in front of me. There I can see my current speed. And also when I set in the automatic cruise control, then I can also see that information right in front of my head-up display. About that automatic cruise control, it's always optional, of course. Here in the Mazda, the problem is, it doesn't go until 0 kilometers. We also have a 6-speed automatic transmission here, which I'm quite content of, definitely. But the problem is, with the Skoda and the VW, it does brake, 0 kilometers, and that's it. Here, it's only working at the speed of, let's say, above 30 or something like that. That's officially stated. And then at the slow speeds, you have to take the brake yourself. And I think this is a dangerous combination, because either it should work, as a standard cruise control, or if it's an adaptive one, then it should really do this totally autonomous stuff that, in case the car is reducing the speed automatically until the end, until the standstill. This one here, not really fancy in that one. About the suspension, generally, I'm very satisfied with it, definitely. In comparison to the, let's say, German-built cars, Skoda is built in Czech Republic. However, it has this big German influence from the Volkswagen corporations, the owner. Here, the Japanese-built car is more set on the softer suspension. We quite often realize that with different German-Japanese cars. You say that the Japanese manufacturers more focused than on the home and American market, where you got even more traffic jams probably and lower speeds, therefore can afford it's better to have a softer suspension. And in the cars that have the German influence, there you say, okay, higher autobahn speeds, people more appreciate a stiffer suspension. And however, all 3 suspensions are very comfortable, definitely. But here with this one, you do feel it's a little bit softer and doesn't convey this very sporty feeling. The steering is not too indirect, however the other steerings are a little bit directer, I think, especially with the Passat. So sporty ride and direct steering. I think the Passat is really leading that one. Overall, in comfort, I think the Superb is the best one. However, this is also comfortable as for suspension and also for the steering, no matter what. But I think the other two ones are a little bit ahead of that, because they are actually doing this compromise at the same time. They convey a sporty feeling and remain very comfortable. This one here is kind of just comfortable, I would say. And about the long-term riding, if you're close to 190 meters like I am, you will be more content, especially with the Superb, because it offers more space. Here in the Mazda, you more feel like it is better suitable for a little bit shorter persons. To me, for example, here it kind of feels like I was sitting on the car, and in the Superb, for example, I sit in the car. I can get a lower seating position and can have more space for my body overall, kind of like glide into the whole seat more, if you know what I mean. And but that's all about body height, of course, and maybe it's a topic for you, or maybe not, depending on your size. But that's why we're here, and that's why we're talking about it. The sound insulation, I think, is generally good. I think the Passat is leading that one. At low speeds, you hardly feel any difference, but the higher the speeds get, then you see that the Superb and Passat are also a little bit ahead of this one. But in general, also when you drive this car, it is actually fun to drive the car, definitely, and you also get generally a good feeling. So from driving, there's actually no one of the cars, I would say, don't go for it. So with all three cars from driving, I say you definitely have a good deal, definitely. So ride test again, yeah. That's actually something interesting with the Mazda model. I think they achieved, especially in the recent years, that all of their models are really fun to drive. No, it's not that's really super emotional sports car stuff. Besides maybe the Mazda MX-5, which is really a lot of fun. We've shown that review as well. But just in general, they convey also a positive riding feeling. Then about the GPS while controlling it, doing it with the central knob here, down there, because when I reach for the touchscreen, that might be a little bit irritating. So I think it's good that you have both possibilities here. Of course, in the Skoda and in the Passat, you only have one of that. You only can use the touchscreen. Now accelerating onto we're going uphill, so it's not really representative, but let's do this Autobahn acceleration speed test. Let's do 50 kilometers to 110, starting now. There it is. You heard that again? Well, it is actually quite good for the performance, but the engine was really screaming, crawling for RPMs. That is a little bit different than with the turbo, and especially when you on the Autobahn do this acceleration, because the turbo is of course also available at higher speeds, of course. But here in this case, especially when you're on the Autobahn, let's see, that's overtaking someone. That does actually work faster with the turbo, so you have to be aware of that. But in general, an engine I can really recommend here as well. We have test driven that one in the Mazda CX-5 as well, and it had this new 6-speed automatic gearbox, which I'm also very satisfied with. So to me, this is the perfect combination for a bigger Mazda vehicle, be it the CX-5 or Mazda 6. Big this 192 horsepower petrol engine. Also the consumption is quite okay, and the 6-speed automatic gearbox, then you will be very fine. Now with the sound insulation at 100 kilometers an hour, still quite reasonable, but here you do feel that we had a way calmer ride in the Skoda Superb. That is definitely a difference. Also the steering wheel, when we get to higher speeds now, feels a little bit looser, I would say. Not looser as in winner or loser, more loose. not that direct contact to the road. However, just talking on a very high level, definitely. So overall, I think you can really enjoy riding the Mazda 6. But from the riding standpoint, I think the other two are a little bit ahead of that. But if you look at the prices, we'll talk about that one later as well again. The Mazda 6 is also a little bit cheaper, at least, when you compare the list prices. And we always take our German prices because we know very much about those German prices in general. We always take these ones as a reference. By the way, you can also use shifting pedals that you can shift down 1 or 2 gears on your own before, and also shifting up, so some sporty shifting is possible with that one as well. It's quite nice that they thought about it. If you want to get to the automatic mode again, by the way, it's working with every car, put the right shift pedal and hold it, then it's going to the automatic mode again. That's I think very interesting thing, because there are not so many things where all manufacturers say, okay, that's we're doing that all in the same way. But this one is actually something they're all doing the same way. So quite interesting from this respect. Let's now get off the motorway again, testing some fast corner, and also then how the brakes work. Let's apply the brakes now. Yeah, quite good result there as well. So that was the Autobahn ride then. When the traffic light turns to green now, we can also do some fast acceleration within the corner, because when I really push the throttle, then let's see what about the power on the front wheels. Yeah, you maybe heard that. We got some wheel spin, and that is, well, we have the power on the front wheel, and always when the car is accelerating, it's just physics that it's leaning towards the back a little bit, and then the front gets a little bit light, and then the wheels can spin. Therefore, very powerful cars always have the rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive in general. But it's the same with the other cars, so you generally also get some wheel spin here. Also low temperatures and winter tires. That is also, again, accelerating this effect that we got a little bit of the wheel spin. Then to the assistance systems. For example, I also got some kind of run-off-road system. I have a symbol in my display, don't go any further there. When I go to the sighting now, and you can also turn them off in the left next to the steering wheel. But as I said, also especially with the feeling some vibrating stuff in the steering wheel as well when I get a little bit more to the right side. But that's usually only working when the lines on the streets are very properly done. However, to me, the most important assistance system is the automatic cruise control so far, and that one is definitely better in the other ones. However, you can get those assistance systems here as well, but they do cost extra. And what I also criticize again is that the autonomous braking assistant is also not from serial production. So seriously, please, for the safety, for the benefit of everyone, manufacturers included one from the standard trim level. We will all profit from that. Well, those ones were the driving impressions here so far, and we also drew a lot of comparisons already between the three cars. I hope you enjoyed that one. And yeah, what else is there to say? Maybe from you. I want your comments now on that one here as for the driving.